something that, you know, really paid off for them in the previous game. And like you said, you know, this Dusa is just going to get very, very large. And also, Sven does not want to play against someone who's going to be able to stone gaze him and just kite him constantly.
Yeah, the Dusa Sven matchup can be pretty bad. Ideally, Sven wants to be an item or two ahead. If you can get to like this Bloodthorn timing, kind of jump, blink, Bloodthorn, chunk him down, that's where you can really drive this matchup in the favor of Sven. He does have some help. Invoker, he has this EMP, he has a lot of control. This is a hero that does really well versus Medusa. He has a disarm, he has kiting abilities, the mana burn, so he has some tools to help him. Pugna's another great Medusa answer. Decrepify, really annoying for this hero. If you can't right-click people, you're not doing a lot. And this Timber Medusa matchup, it can be neutral on the lanes. I tend to think Timber has some decent playability in terms of the game progressing versus Medusa. He's pretty tanky. He does a crap ton of damage, and he can kind of go in and out of the fights, right? So this Sven is not on an island. He has some nice friends to help him in the matchup.
That's going to be very, very important, as it is, of course, a team game here. But get a little bit of that all-chat banter going through. Definitely interesting, though. It's going to be very important that the Zoomers, you know, are able to dodge in and out, right? Because Medusa has a lot of issues with being very mobile. She's kind of one of those heroes that likes the rest of the team to kind of fight around her and fight into her. There has been a little bit of a change, so it's a bit easier, but it's definitely going to be a bit tough if they're able to just have these skirmishes and dodge in and out.
I mean, Radiant wants to get to a point where this Dusa and Ember can run at the enemy and they can abuse skewers or glimpses with Division. But like I said, it's not necessarily too simple for Dusa to just frontline this game until way later because they have mana drain, they have Decrep, they have EMP, as we're seeing here.
This is looking like a dead Jubei, and that's a great way to start the game. If you're Zoomers, give the first blood over to your position 1.
Yep, super big. It's going to help accelerate this Sven. He can get to faster treads, he can get to faster level 2. Maybe they can do something else with it on lane. Stop this mag getting to his Helm of Iron Will, because he's going to try and rush it. I would really like to see them use the gold and try and play a little aggressive on this lane. I think Sven can be a really strong laner. Super high base damage. He has a stun. He has a lion stun follow-up. They can get a lot of right clicks in.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we typically call, you know, one of those kill lanes when you do have those two forms of disable and just a decent amount of damage just coming out early on. So would not be surprised to see that lane being played perhaps a little bit more conservatively when you have something like, you know, Dunal not going to be able to really get himself out of a bad predicament and a bit tankier, luckily, but still has to be very careful.
Yeah, I mean, even in these early trades where they get both stuns on the mag, drop them to half HP on the first range creep, this is the stuff you want to be doing in this lane early on. Just get these efficient trades. Don't get too abused by some big camp stack pulls, which they blocked. Pretty nice for them. They're going to have good equilibrium. They're going to be able to force the situation in terms of when they trade and how they want to. And it might be a pretty nice lane for this Sven. He's already off to a great start.
Is this one of these situations, too, where you want to try to put a lot of attention over onto stacking? Especially, you know, black and yellow, when you look at what they have for these particular core lineups. You know, these are people that can take those stacks. And if the top lane's going to be a bit difficult, do you decide to move and put a priority on the stacks? Or are you staying in the lane to try to protect the Magnus so they have to think twice?
I mean, you have to get this Magnus to the Helm, right? Okay. Then he might be able to be left alone depending on the state of the lane. But the big thing is you want the stacks a little later on in the game for both the Sven and the Medusa. Because at some point, when they have enough items so they can go there and it's efficient to go farm that big stack, that's what's really going to accelerate their game in the mid game, especially if the map gets to a point where it's static and you're kind of trading farm. In these map states where you're trading farm, that ancient stack really puts you ahead. And both Sven and Deuce are some of the best ancient farmers, right? Accelerates their game by a huge degree. So if the game does end up in a kind of static map state, that's when those ancient stacks come into play.
Yeah, it definitely feels like there's been a really high priority on stacking for a while now in this particular, you know, we've had a couple patches. We're still, you know, a slight change since TI, but still seeing these heroes that have the built-in mechanics to be able to take large stacks and push out waves, really taking a priority.
Did get nerfed a little bit, right? You have
a little bit. It had to be nerfed a little bit. That was just a very easy pick off there, my goodness.
I mean, I will say this bottom lane is going really bad for Radiant. They are getting immensely burned out here. Dusa might be dead too.
Need a little bit more damage. Not going to be able to quite find it.
That was a really unfortunate last Timber chain. Maybe he thought he'd get the kill, but he ends up losing basically his entire HP pool. and they were in a position where this lane was going pretty well for them. They were winning the regen trade pretty hard, and this Dusa's not having the greatest time. If the early waves go good for Timber, it's usually a pretty good outcome, because once this hero gets to level 5, he's chilling, right? You're not going to be able to touch him.
No.
He's not going to be threatened. And then he gets to that level 6 because he gets the solo XP. Now your Deuce is in a position where she gets kicked out. And if the lower level she is when she gets kicked out, the worse her game's going to be. Because all that jungle farm that she has to do to get to the point where she can go to the Ancients gets slowed down, right?
Right. There's also just a lot of pressure in this lane in general coming out from the side of Zoomers. When you have something like the Timber Saw, he will get to a point where you can't force him out of lane, and then when you pair it up with something like, you know, a Z-Freak Pugna, you're going to be able to take those towers. So it kind of solves a little bit of that issue that sometimes you have when you've just got the Timber. But Z-Freak does have to be careful. He's going to be able to just barely make it out here. And everyone's sitting just so low in this lane.
They did get the D ward on the big camp top. The lane's pretty shoved up. I think Husky going to do this pull should be pretty big. You want to get the lane back here so you can continue to harass him. But Mag did get to his helm, right? So it's going to be pretty hard to win the attrition war at this point. He's going to be able to stay in the lane. But this Sven's off to a great start. He had first blood. He has pretty much free farm, you know, highest CS in the game, almost. So he's doing pretty well. They get some stacks for him. Maybe Z-Freak gets a couple ancient stacks on the way back to base. He should have a pretty nice game here. On top of that, he has Alacrity to back him up. This is not a spell people think about a lot when you see this Quas Invoker, because it comes on later. But this is one of the best buff or amplifier spells in the game. It really shines on a hero like Sven, who benefit immensely from the attack speed, right? You get in there with this huge ult, start hitting people with this Alacrity, it's really scary. People just drop instantly.
Especially when you start adding in some of those big crits and whatnot, then it's just absolutely devastating. But we're not quite there yet, although Kasabile doing a great job here in being able to hit up these creeps and just, you know, stand toe-to-toe here in this lane. It's almost like a bit of a gentleman's agreement. It's like, you're not really going to be able to do too much to this Magnus unless you have a rotation, and Kasabile feeling very comfortable as well. So they'll get a little bit of harass. But again, probably not going to be seeing much in this lane unless we have a rotation come out from perhaps a mid laner.
Something to think about as well is we just saw Z-Freak drop this OBS in the Radiant jungle bottom. Something to think about when you know these carries are going to go jungle, because at some point their lane just either becomes too inefficient or it's too annoying. This Dusa will definitely go jungle because she doesn't want to lane versus level 6 Timber Saw eventually, right? If you get these deep wards in the jungle, a lot of times carries are low. They're greedy when they farm here. And that's where you can make these nice 1 or 2 support rotations. Invoker plus a Lion, Invoker plus a Pugna, kill this Deuce in the jungle. These wards set that up ahead of time, so it's really nice to see.
Nice denial of rune here, coming out for Husky. He's managed to snap up a haste. Looks like he's gonna go and grab himself the bounty rune, help himself to it. That's gonna be a sadder Ember, not having these runes available.
And that's a big rune, right? 6-minute rune, first power rune, and it's a haste.
And here it is. We talked about it. Weren't going to see anything too crazy go on until we had a rotation from the mid laner, and Gunnar has made his way up. He pushes Kasabile, got the cookie there. Need a little bit more damage. Not going to be able to be successful this time.
Really unfortunate.
And the tip.
Yeah, you got to give him the tip sometimes. This is where I was saying last game that Gunnar tries to make these side lane moves a lot, and sometimes they pay off, and sometimes like here they don't. And now he has to run all the way back mid, and his TP's on CD for a while. So especially for a hero like Invoker who can turn around things, he's really great at counter-initiating, turning these small skirmishes around with a TP. This is a play option that's no longer available to them for the next minute. But Radiant doesn't really have the best ability to capitalize on it. Their 2 side lane cores are not really heroes that are going to set up some crazy ganks or kills for them.
And they're already having their own difficulties here in the bottom lane, like we said. Moo is sitting at his level 6 now. He's very, very tanky, even has a couple raindrops picked up on to boot. And wouldn't be surprised to see them really just start taking over this area, really putting pressure on the tower, and starting to make that map a lot smaller for the Dusa.
Yep, Dusa's already gone. Jubei rocking the 0 item build. He has some coming on his courier, but I think it's always funny to see these 5s who just...
Oh,
he's totally devoid, you know?
Yeah.
He's just leeching that XP, slowly watching his tower die. Gunnar came down here to kill it. Not sure this is entirely too efficient for him. He's just kind of slowly hitting this down, and they should be taking the mid XP if they can while he's doing this. that would be the trade-off. But again, they give up a rune to Ember for this, and it's kind of a tower that would have died anyway.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that they hadn't opted to put Z-Freak down there to put the siege down, but is going to be able to get his levels over here in the mid lane. He's already in position as well if they want to try to put extra pressure over on the mid tower.
Yeah, this Pugna's definitely a hero you want to give the levels to at some point. He was pretty low level off the lane. He's still only level 3. This is not a hero you want to have fall behind too far in that department, because the spells are all really powerful, but they need the levels to be executable. Decrepify, this is a spell that's all about how many levels you have in it, because that cast range is really what makes it viable in the fights.
All right, well, they have a smoke play coming out from Black. Now, let's see Husky. I think they'd rather fry a bigger fish, though. Stabile using the War Cry, throws out the stun. Cookie hop forward, Gunner is here. Can they keep him alive for long enough? They use the RP, but now there's no mana left. And Stabile, he's still alive and kicking his move, also joining into the fight. He's gonna just go forward with the Timber Chain, use the Chakram, and gets the kill over onto now. And he's looking to finish off over onto Giant. Giant, he throws right back that tip. They say that was real cute there, friend, but what about it now?
That's that Invoker turnaround, right? He just buys so much time for his Sven to get out of that engagement and straight into the jungle where he likes to be.
And look at this. They know exactly where Rises wants to be. They'll snap up the bounty rune, they'll throw down some lockdown, they'll get rid of all that mana, and that's going to be a very dead Dusa.
That's where these early jungle wards pay off, right? You know where this guy wants to farm, you know where he wants to be early, and this is the time where Medusa's super susceptible. You have 2 points of mana drain online. He's all going to be level 6 after this camp. Super nice for him when you get fast 6 on this hero, because you start getting those finger points up and now you're a monster on the map.
And if you get to the game late enough, you become a very tanky boy. But Moo happily helping himself to the stack. That feels bad for this Dusa. Though,
he's in pretty deep.
He is in pretty deep. Doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of mana. Does have the Soul Ring, but I don't think he wants to pop it, so he's probably going to pay for this insolence. And they'll get themselves
to Jubei. He'll get his boots now.
Hey, last game, you know, he was looking real poor, and he bounced back. He got himself those brown boots and a blink dagger.
I've been there. It's that's the life sometimes. There's nothing wrong with it.
That's fortune's wheel, right? You start on the bottom, and eventually it comes back up again. And then eventually go back down after you get murdered by, you know, the core, because they're very fat on the enemy team. But
yeah, you could always just kill his boots in a sign of dominance, you know. I don't even.
That is so NA.
That would be the Chad move, but I doubt it'll happen. But this game, it's a lot about, again, the Sven and Timber timings versus this Dusa and Ember. I think this Invoker, he's kind of the 3 this game. He's going to be utility, setting stuff up. He gets his Vessel. Maybe he gets to 1 more item in this game, but he's going to really play the 3. I expect Mood to play scaling Timber if he can get there, and him and Sven are really the damage outputters. And Sven, he is climbing pretty fast. Dusa had the 1 death, had her Ancient stolen. I'm not sure dying on Timber is entirely worth it, but it does slow the Dusa down a little bit, so you get some nice tempo advantage there between the 2 carries. And look at this stack that Sven gets to clear. He is in heaven.
That is a juicy stack, and Husky's very happy to hang around, get a little bit of that experience while he's over here.
Yeah, see, if I did that, my carry would tell me, you know, get out of here.
Get out.
Why are you leeching my XP? And I would tell them,
he threw out one of those earth spikes. He's helping, okay? He deserves a little bit of that tax. He's getting fed some mangoes by Z-Freak.
That's one of those plays you play on land, your carry looks over to you and gives you an eye. Like, you're already level 6, man. You don't need it.
Core players. Why they gotta be like that?
This Sven is almost 3,000 ahead of Dusa at 12 minutes. This is where he wants to be in the matchup.
Trying to make a play over onto Dunao. Got the Chakram. This should be an easy cleanup, and down goes Granny. Echo Saber picked up now for the Sven. He is just starting to ball out of control.
I think Radiant is having issues kind of stabilizing the map because their heroes don't combine that well this early in the game to deal with the Timbersaw specifically. He's a pretty big nuisance for them. He's kind of immortal in a sense. Mag and Medusa are not high damage output heroes at this point in the game, and this Ember isn't killing him, so he's kind of just zoning them out of areas. You see a Static Storm.
Z-Freak has survived so long down here already. Like, they do eventually get the kill, but it took a decent amount of time.
These are the kind of kills you want, though. I mean, maybe this execution was, you know, not as quick as they would have wanted or as easy, But I think these little 1-2 combinations to get the kills you can are nice.
This is a big kill for them. That's the finger coming out from Husky. And that's a dead Rises.
And this is just, again, the product of this Dusa feels like she has nowhere to go. This top tower is still standing. His mag is up here with an HOD. He wants to be able to take it down, but she doesn't want to just go up here and kick him out of the area, right?
Right.
And she died on the Ancients once. She was farming it, but now she's just in mid, and it's not really where she wants to be.
Jubei here, he was trying to get that glimpse off, and he's taken a lot of damage from the Timber Saw. But they'll back off. They'll reset. That was the kisses that got used during that time, too. Moo just feeling very invincible right now. He knows that it's pretty difficult to take him out.
Yeah, I would like to see him keep pushing the advantage. Play on that edge, you know the limit of what it takes for them to commit to have to kill you, which is probably some RP into Static Storm with a Snap Ult, something like this. It's a lot of heroes and a lot of spells. So as long as he sees stuff on the map, they get this bottom lane in, as Sven farms this bottom lane, they see some hero down here, he can play pretty aggressive and limit the enemy's movement. And that's ideally what they want to do, because, again, their Sven is ultimate free farm in this game. He's going to hit a very nice timing. He's going to get this blink. He can choose to fight with the blink if they want. I think it'd be pretty good. They can make a nice move on this mid tower, take over, this area that opens up Roche, opens up the enemy triangle, and he is just going to get crazy fat if that move happens.
The Zoomers making their descent into the jungle. They're smoked up. And they know that someone's down here. It's going to be Dunao who gets spotted yet again. And they should be able to just blow them up very easily. Like, patiently a little bit. Gunnar going to get a couple clicks off, but Moo will cut him down. And the TP's out immediately. So they have their eyes on the Dusa. They'll turn away. Well, one of them will turn away, but that is, of course, Stone Gaze down with very little mana left on the Medusa. Just never stops here as Gunner's found himself. Shaggy has no mana left. They'll go for the Static Storm, but Gunner not going to get caught in it. Jubei is falling. Gustavi a God Strength slices him down. Husky, though, getting the final hit over onto Shaggy. There's a lot of fighting in just a couple seconds there. My goodness. Zoomers
picking up the pace, trying to find the little skirmishes across the map, and I really like them just running mid here.
They're not even done. They found themselves Rises. He's back again. He's got no mana.
Tornado's a little too short, but...
Now with the cookie, that life-saving cookie. He's going to pay for this again, though. But he saved his Dusa, and very much needed.
And the Alacrity's already coming out. Again, Sven got this blink. They made a move. He got a kill on Ember, one of the best targets you can find. Straight to mid. Mid tower is dead. This game is looking very good for Dire.
Feels like a game of Turbo right now with how fast everybody's moving around the map.
Yeah, this is where this hero shines. If he has a game like this, he can almost play versus anything in a sense. As long as he gets to his items, he's going to have a fast BKB. He blink ults, BKBs. The enemy team's just too low net worth to deal with the damage output.
I've seen this before as Moo's taking the stacks, but the other side of black and yellow, they're here. Get a little bit of a skewer back here, but Moo just going to yo-yo his way forward again with the Timber Chain. Sitting a little bit low on the mana, but they just keep going after him. Ooh, we lose the Magnus. Looks like Husky, I believe, used a finger there, and they're gonna have the Static Storm up in just a second, but I don't know if they continue. Yeah, they're gonna keep going, because Avalate just chasing after Rises. They'll drop the Static Storm, but the Kinetic Field is just a little bit too late. A little bit of a kiting, but the Deafening Blast coming through. Moo following up here. It's got Chakram, wants to make sure that there's no trees available for them to hide in. Will get held into place. They might be able to finally kill this Timber Saw, or will they? Because he's got the Timber Chain. Now the rep that forward. Can they get it in time? Life coming out from Zfreak, keeping him alive. Moo, he's still able to survive. Kiss is going back, but eventually they get him with a Scatter Blast. But the following up here, Lake jumping right back in again with that God Strength. He's going to be held in a little bit of a ring, but the rest of the team over on the side of black and yellow, they can't quite find the way to reapproach this fight at this time. A lot of spells used.
Timber Saw is borderline immortal, right? We saw it. There were some spells missed, but this Timber ran into the Static Storm. He just doesn't care. And I think this is the right area of the map that Dire wants to be fighting in. We talked about it a little bit last game, but them taking fights here does a lot for them. Sven gets to steal the Ancients and the Triangle after the fight. Dusa doesn't get that farm. Dusa's stuck in this weird engagement that they don't even really like. Yeah, here we see the glimpse miss. Pretty unfortunate. They might have been able to follow up on that. And Moo's just out of mana at this point. So he lives for a long time, but he's not actually outputting damage.
That tornado right in the nick of time, allowing him to be able to go Timber Chain forward. And we have even more fighting coming out again. This time Giant's going to be the sacrificial lamb. They can't quite find the Snapfire, but he's gonna walk right into Jubei. Oh dear lord. Spirit Vessel charge placed on him. They're looking for a Sunstrike. Not quite enough, but they're still chasing here. Husky following up. That's a good Static Storm. Will hold Moo into place. Again, he does have that hood, though. He's just going to start hitting some of those creeps in the meanwhile. Shaggy, he just doesn't have the ability to get out. He goes right into Constabulate. It's still going to be Moo who gets the kill.
These life drains are doing a lot in these fights. This Pugna hero, we saw Jerax play it on OG in multiple of their TIs. This is one of his like niche picks, and I think it shows in this game. When this hero can just sit on the back lines, get all his spells off, drop that ward, get multiple decreps, multiple life drains. These spells are super high impact spells.
Oh, do now. You can't even walk into your own jungle, my friend. This jungle belongs to the Zoomers. And they have some really nice deep vision over here, too, to keep tabs on camps.
Yeah, this is how you want to constrict the map. This is what I would have liked to have seen out of Black and Yellow last game when they had the map control. I think Zoomers is doing a nice job. Get the deep wards out, and you kind of swing across, right? You swing to where you think they're going to go with a couple heroes, and you kick them out of those areas. You don't let them retake anywhere. Your Sven's going to get Omega jacked. Your Invoker is going to be a threat on the map. Your Timber can even pick up the farm. I mean, this Pugna's ahead of the enemy mag and Ember. He's basically a fourth core at this point. So keep up the aggression and keep playing around your wards, basically, is the recipe for success here.
He's been very efficient, too, with the fact that, you know, you can be that little battery, right? You can be in position, you can go and give that... I feel like there should be an alternate name for life drain, because obviously you're not draining the life. I guess you're draining your own life, but just the fact that you're able to do that is such a boon that you can be the backup. But we do get the Blink Dagger picked up now for the Lion. They're right back on the hunt. They know exactly where Rises wants to be. Rises is no longer where he wants to be, though, as he is just slain, and they're going to make their way into the Roche Pit.
It's that triangle ward again. They actually have a sentry on it. It's just the wrong time, wrong check. It happens, but those are also those types of ganks that ideally you want someone tanking it for it. I don't think you want them to just be able to smoke their entire team straight to your triangle to kill your Dusa. Because Dusa does not have a lot elsewhere to go that's as efficient as farming that triangle. She wants to be able to farm it. So I think Radiant should be putting a high priority on controlling, de-warding the area, making sure someone's tanking the ganks they don't want to fight, and pushing out this bottom lane to force people to come back. So they can't make these moves that, you know, are just 5-man smoke into your triangle. It should be more obvious.
We're setting up over on the side of Zoomers. Husky blinking forward. They have the Hex, the Hearth Spike, and that's just a dead Shaggy. All the control in the world for an Ember Spirit.
Sven's going to get to walk down this entire bottom lane with the Aegis, and they're going to swing their killers back to mid. Timbersaw and Lion pairing up. Lion will jump with Timbersaw follow-up. They're basically a threat to anybody on the map right now, outside of Dusa, which they need the Invoker plus, you know, maybe another hero for. But they're playing the map pretty well. And as we see, the net worth advantage is going up pretty steadily. This is what you want to see. This is really nice. They're swinging back to their other obs. Ember's still dead for 15. It's free food.
Indeed it is. And they've got their eyes on Jubei.
Never let them de-ward your wards for free. Always make them pay the price.
I'd say he definitely paid the price there.
I mean, the terrible thing about these types of deaths is you go and you kill the ward and you die, and you think you feel good because you killed your ob, but a lot of times people can just reward the hill. And then do you want to run back there where you just died and try and de-ward it again? And then sometimes you die again, right? Now you're just trading your life for obs. It can be okay depending on the game, but it feels pretty bad.
I mean, insanity is the action of doing something repeatedly and expecting a different outcome, right?
I mean, Jubei has to do this kind of thing in this state of the game, I think. These deep wards have to go down, but
you can approach it in a different way, though, too, for sure, right?
Maybe.
It doesn't have to necessarily always just be you by yourself.
Yeah, they can maybe bait him, but with the Ember dead, they're just missing so much damage. That's a pretty hard bait.
That is.
His Timber's just too tanky.
Moo has had his run of this map, I would say, this entire game. He's got himself the Yules, he's got the Kaya, Put a Defiance, even has Vambrace on him. He's very difficult to deal with.
Yep, sitting at 45 magic resist. He has a life drain behind him. He has Invoker spells behind him. He has a Lion and Sven, both with blinks, who can jump the targets that he gives vision of, right? His job in this game is go in, find people, give the vision, be a nuisance. He doesn't even have to necessarily kill them. As long as he gives his Sven and Lion vision of the fight, they're the ones who are going to jump the right targets and win it for them.
Look at how fast everybody's making a beeline now to Shaggy. Gunnar just keeping his distance, keeping tabs. Husky getting into position as well. Has that blink dagger, has all the lockdown. This is going to almost seem like a picture of deja vu all over again. So it'll be interesting to see if Shaggy realizes. Yes, he reads it. He's able to get away.
Shaggy too fast.
I love the sound of the tumbler toy. It just sounds so comical. Like compared to like all the other sounds, it sounds very like, you know, oh, aggressive. Well, except for maybe the pig.
Is there not a better neutral item for him than tumbler toy at 23 minutes?
Feels like there should be, right?
Yeah, there probably. I don't know.
Sabila canceling out the TP. This is going to be a dead rises as Gunnar is also in position, and so is Moo, but Moo not even necessary. He's just there for the moral support.
Starting to get them exort points for the Alacrity. It'll really help this Sven.
It's a nice pick off here, but Husky following up. They need some more here, and there is a 3 hits coming out from Kostabile, and they want to take down Shaggy too, but not going to be able to quite manage it, although Mr. Moo is here. Shaggy bottling up. This is going to throw out the Chakram, start chasing. We'll throw it out, jump forward. There's the blinks that come into play. He will not be allowed to get away.
He actually dodged the finger. Pretty nice.
It did look very, very impressive.
Looked fancy. I think Kostabile should have jumped the Ember there, though. I think killing the Disruptor over that Ember, he might have gotten away, but ultimately they got both, so pretty nice for them.
Cookie out from Danao trying to protect the Medusa. He's probably going to pay for this, though, as we get some of those Mortimer kisses out. He's hoping that perhaps he can get enough damage over onto Gunnar, but he's not going to be able to. Gunnar too fast. He's already left the vicinity here. And Moo is just going to Timber Chain his way away.
They just don't even want to use their spells on this guy. You know, they can RP skewer him in, but Snap's dead, Ember's dead. That's a huge chunk of their magical damage. Is Dusa and a no Static Storm Disruptor going to kill him in their base? Probably not, right? He's just having his way with the game.
Never say never, but probably not, like you said. Yeah, they just have no control of the map at this point over on the side of black and yellow.
I think these types of map states happen because a lot of small things in the game go a certain way, right? It's not just any one big fight that just won Zoomers this game. I think it's the progression of the side lanes. Early on, this Timber was getting a large advantage versus
That was a good anticipation as they used the RP over onto Kostabile. He does have the Aegis, though. They've used a lot. He actually goes for the BKB. He's going to turn back in. That's the Aegis just running out, so perhaps they were trying to time it as there's Z-Freak just being that little battery, trying to keep him alive. He's got his own, my goodness, he's got his own BKB. Husky gets murdered. Jubei buying back.
It was looking scary for a moment there. He's getting skewered in. His Aegis, maybe he was cognizant of it. That's why he BKB'd.
That's got to be why they BKB'd,
But I almost feel like you just go in and die and take the fight afterwards, maybe. I don't know, maybe they felt it's too deep. But I think with BKB, he's kind of immortal. You can always get, you know, stunned into a Stone Gaze, and it's kind of spooky. So I understand the decision, but that was a pretty bold move.
I mean, he's having a perfect game so far. There's only 5 deaths from the side of Zoomers right now, which is pretty outrageous to think about when you consider.
I mean, their heroes are just super hard to kill, right? They all, I mean, Pugna has a BKB. Invoker's no easy hero to catch. Timber's immortal. Sven, you're never going to find him in a game like this because you're too far behind. This Lion, he's building a Shadow Blade, so it's not going to be the easiest guy to find either.
We have reached a state of the game where these things are occurring. My goodness.
I think Radiant has to play for their AoE, basically. When you're behind like this, you need to get a lot of value out of your AoE stuns, right? They have RP, they have Stone Gaze, and they have both their subs that can follow up. You need to kind of bait the clump and then follow up with the counter initiation.
Oh boy, this poor Magnus is not allowed to have any sort of a game. And I guess that's the issue, right? You talk about having them, you know, try to use these AoE spells, try to make something happen, but the fights are consistently being just brought to them. And again, that's something we were a little bit, I don't want to say we were criticizing Zoomers in game number 1, but we saw that they really enjoy, you know, bringing the fight forward, trying to make these things happen. And that's the issue right now for, he's got that shadow amulet, for the side of black and yellow, is that they want to set up, but they are just not finding any breathing room to do this.
Yeah, I think this game, they're controlling the map a lot better. So when they're making these 2 to 3 man moves with the Timber plus a sup, Timber plus 2 subs, Invoker kind of playing on his own, they're controlling a lot more space, and they're going to find those pickoffs because you're not just going to sit in your base forever, right? And they're a lot stronger. So if Radiant does decide to 5v5 them, I'm sure they're happy to take it. Timber will just run in and give the vision. It's not an easy position to be in. Radiant really needs to find the isolated heroes.
Don't think that's the hero they necessarily want, though. Smoo is going to be able to Timber Chain away and rejoin with the rest of his team. And again, they have those... I don't want to say... I guess it's kind of like an insurance policy, right? They just dump everything over onto Moo. He sponges up all the damage, and then they follow up with a Tornado or an Earth Spike or something that makes it so that they can re-engage after they've dumped a lot of spells on him.
Yeah, I think it is possible for them to kill him in a situation like that, but they might not know where everybody is, right?
True.
These Invoker counter-initiation spells or some life drain, it's pretty hard. They have to kind of RP him, skewer him back into the vessel charges, follow up with a cookie so he can't dispel it that fast, and then maybe after he tries to use Static Storm or glimpse him back, he can die. It's not impossible. That's a
lot of things that have to go precisely according to plan, though.
Yeah, it is. And they're not in the position where they have the most vision to do it. And there's a lot that can interrupt those things because Dusa doesn't have a BKB, so she can get disarmed, she can get lifted, she can get hexed, she can get decrept, right? And a lot of their damage output goes away.
19k net worth lead at 29.5 minutes. But black and yellow, they're smoking up. They're trying to get some movement here, trying to see what they can find. But if you look at the way that Zoomers is moving, they have a feeling that this is happening. And look at this Gunner running very far forward. They'll ping, get back. We're not in a position just yet. We'll go re-engage. Kasabile showing up immediately. Gonna try to disperse down that Disruptor, and they'll find it. They use the RP over Kasabile, but will not be able to do too much with this. Like, use the Stone Gaze, and now you can see these kisses just raining down here from Denau, but they don't do much of anything. Follow up with a little bit of a Sunstrike. They get the finger off. That's a dead Giant. That's 3 over on the side of black and yellow that are just dead. And look at the way they're just running past this tower. They want more. Moo feeling very invincible right now as he's just chasing right after Ryze. Doesn't be careful though. Shaggy is here. Sabile though also here. Nice touch here coming out from Shaggy. Goes with that BKB. So he doesn't get locked down. But now they haven't gotten anything with it. And that's a little bit scary to consider that they can go right back in again.
Huge tumbler toy there at the end of the fight. Still has it at 30 minutes.
I think he just likes it as a meme. Follow up, though. The stun over onto Ryze. They've got the Montauk. Sabile just hitting away. Big hits here coming out from the Sven as they'll take down the Medusa.
With the help of the Alacrity, level 3 ult, he does a lot of damage. I think that type of fight, if you saw the Dusa, she gets Medusa, or she gets Tornado EMP'd right at the start of the fight while she's Stone Gazed. This is where Invoker shines versus that hero. If she's not ahead and she doesn't want to go BKB or have enough mana pool to sustain through that type of control, it's pretty hard for her to just hit people. And it's not as if Sven is that easy of a target for her to bring down anyway, right?
You can see the recap here.
Costability, he decided to show mercy, you know. Jubei, you can live a little longer. Let someone else clean you up. There's that Tornado EMP into the Deafening Blast. Dusa's already half mana. Mag is almost out of mana. The fight's just way too hard at that point.
And the fights never stop either, as they've got their eyes on Shaggy. The BKB is back up again. Gunner does get tagged here by Giant, but it's not successful. They try to even get the cookie hop off, but they cannot. 2 of them will just chill for a moment. But just like that, they're going to back off on the side of Zoomers. They know that they are very powerful in control right now. And they're just going to reset. There is, of course, a Roche to take, and that would be a great, great way to help secure them the next step in their plan.
I used to find it hilarious. He just has this tumbler toy. He must just like the item.
What if he likes the sound?
Some Shaggy meme.
Yeah.
There's definitely better items he could have, but you know, sometimes you just gotta rep. You gotta rep the brand.
You know, he's a ride or die kind of person. You know,
Exactly.
he loves that tumbler toy, and he's not going to get rid of it.
He doesn't want to ditch it.
No, it's been with him since, you know, square one.
Sven got an Elven Tunic. Carry players love this item. Anytime you can just get a little extra evasion, makes your EHP go up a lot. Extra move speed's nice as well. The attack speed's nice as well. Throw the Alacrity on top. He's a happy Sven.
I mean, he's got to be a happy Sven at this point. Constabile is sitting at 8-0-8. He is just massive when you look at the items that he's got. He's got the full Satanic, he's got the Silver Edge, and he's about to get himself an Aegis, and who knows what else, honestly.
He'll get him some towers and some Raxes and probably a throne with it. It's not... I'm not really seeing a way that Black and Yellow can win the fight at this point with this Aegis. I think maybe they stall the game until the Aegis is out, and then there's some chance they can take the fight by getting a crazy skewer back into tier 4s with some perfect kiting and some spellcasting follow-up and kind of baiting the rest of the team to come into the tier 4s.
Crafting. Go
yeah,
on.
you know, it's a very convoluted scenario, but in games like this, you have to play for something like that because you're not going to get some easy fight comeback, right? This Sven's just too far ahead, and the rest of his team not far behind. Like we said, this Lion and Pugna, they're picking up the net worth pretty nicely as well.
Lion's got his Shadow Blade completed. I mean, that tells us a lot about the state of the game when the position 5 has a Shadow Blade and a Blink Dagger.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
BKB, you know, we've had that over on Z-Freak for a while now.
Shadow Blade's the rich man's glimmer, you know? When you're feeling
It's
good.
the selfish man's glimmer, too, because you're only protecting yourself.
Yeah, of course.
You're not helping anybody else.
I'm not going to buy a Glimmer for my cores. You're all too farmed anyway. I'm just going to buy a Shadow Blade, run around, get the solo kill on some sub or finish a core with a finger, get those fantasy points, you know. It is a
that's
nice
right. I didn't play
item.
fantasy. Oh, no. All those points I'm missing out right now. Who did you play? Did you play anyone for fantasy?
I don't even think I unlocked any of the fantasies. So my answer to
man.
that to be no. I live too much in the real world.
You've left that other world. You can't. You're leaving it behind. Yeah, this Roach is going down, though, quite quickly. We've got the Alacrity, like you said, over on Constabile. Just chunking this man down. And there it is. Aegis picked up.
Shard on the line.
Shard on the line. That is a good shard.
Yeah, he gets the BKB drain. Any other shards they would have given it to? The Pugna one's cool looking, but probably not that impactful at this point. They could get a Dispel Stormhammer, but there's not much to Dispel. I mean, you get an Ember Shield, but he's probably going to die if he gets stunned anyway, so it's probably the best shard.
It's also just super annoying to play into as well, but when you're trying to drain mana from something like a Deuce, very, very necessary, I think. I don't know why I said that like a weirdo. My goodness. It's a little bit late here.
I do like the Shadow Blade on 5's late game over the Glimmer in certain situations because it allows you to instantly, when the fight breaks out, you just Shadow Blade and you're somewhere on the back line, right? And it means you're not going to get spotted by some invis dude rapping on you or some crazy smoke flank or some ward they had there by random that might have seen you because you're Shadow Blade. Now it forces a Dust or Sentry to come out in order to find you. Another hero it's great on, for example, is something like a Wyvern, right? A hero that's super positioning dependent and really wants to get its spells off. And normally if you just try and like run in and get those spells off, you're going to get jumped.
Speaking of which here, Finger coming out and see you later, Shaggy. Not going to tumbler your toy your way out this time.
Nope. Actually, he swapped it for a Quickening Charm, so.
Boo.
He felt the tumbler toy betrayed him.
That's exactly it. Oh my goodness, over here, what a hit! They just cut their Jubei. My God.
That was a crazy random 3-man stun.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just got it, I guess. They have a ward. Pretty nice.
That was a moment where you're just like, wait a minute, no, the Magnus is on the other team. Because that looked like a full-on RP. And they just go right through these buildings. Z-Freak making sure that Constabile is topped off. This is crumbling even further now. Looking for that opening. It's going to skewer forward. There's the buyback coming up, remember, but it's already too late. They've already lost Magnus. Magnus buying back. The slide forward. Can they finish off Husky here? Does have that magic immune, but those Snapfire Kisses coming in hot. Not going to be able to survive. As they'll find themselves a kill on Z-Freak. They are just chasing after them now, but this seems like Shaggy perhaps has gone just a little bit too far. The RP does get used, so they're going to push them both forward into a Static Storm. It's beautiful, but they have the BKB over at Constabile, and he's just chunking through all of them. Rises now, taking a lot of damage. Muth throwing out the Chakram. Oh, Constabile jumps right back in again. He wants a kill on Jubei. And they'll reset, although it feels like Kostabile, he wants more. Look at him, he's waiting patiently. He wants rises, but he's just gonna back off, clear off the creep wave, and they're gonna reset.
They honestly played that fight pretty well. Shaggy got both the sub kills. They're killing the targets that they can take down, whereas these other guys are too tanky and Sven has an Aegis. It's just almost too little too late, right?
Right.
Their spell casting was pretty solid. They got the 2-man Static Storm, the Cookie. Again, both subs died to the Ember. It's pretty much the best you can ask for outside of some crazy skewer into the tier 4s. You know, maybe this is like tier 4s deeper. It might be slightly better, but there's not much else you can do. At this point, you just want to get the most value out of buybacks, which is what they did as well. You have to take the fight with buybacks, get the extra lives. Wasn't the best outcome for them, but definitely not an easy fight to take.
They need a +1 here. Does Shaggy know, though, the break? Oh, he's already out. This is a man who knows his Ember Spirit quite well.
Trying to get to that Ags. It will increase his damage output a lot. Make those sub kills a little faster, and maybe they can kite the fight around a bit more.
Yeah, that seems to be very, very important here. It's just you want to be able to kite the Sven. He's just hitting for way too much damage. But they do have such great ways of being able to, you know, reset these fights, set them up. Oh boy, that was there was a Jubei there. Not anymore.
Yep, tail end of that God Strength. As long as he has it up, pretty much just jump anything. It's going to be a decent fight. Unless you get skewered into the fountain, I guess, but... I guess that's one way. And we also talked about, the panel talked about this Horn Toss nerf. It is pretty big. It means you can get spells or items off during the toss back, since it's a slow and not a stun. So it's not that easy for him to just jump in and Horn Toss skewer someone back. He can get hexed, he can get stunned, the cores can press their BKB and just take the fight in the base, right? So it's not the same collapse level Horn Toss shenanigans that we were used to seeing.
Thank God, honestly, because that was terrifying.
It's definitely a strong spell.
Very strong. I think that's putting it mildly. Black and yellow, though, they're pulling the 5-man smoke out of the base. They're hoping to reclaim a little bit of the ground here. Looks like Jubei does have some of those wards on him, so perhaps hoping that he'll be able to get a bit of vision up. And they don't have much in terms of counter vision coming out from the side of Zoomers either, so... They are making their way over, though. For smoke, Kostabile showing. And just immediately, the way that they are receding. Shaggy is still nearby, but I'm sure he's just praying they don't look in the trees right now.
Yeah, Hex on Gunner. We haven't really talked about him much this game, but he's 7-0-20. He's pretty much having the perfect game. Again, I think he did his job. Kind of play the 3-position Invoker. Let your Timber and your Sven take all of the brunt in terms of scale and damage output. I mean, Invoker always scales almost no matter what anyway, because you can always get to this Kata timing off his Sven stun or some utility like Hex says he's gone here. And his spells are just all amazing, right? Every single spell in this game is basically super high impact. If he lands any of his disables or control on Medusa, it's pretty much a fight over. He throws Alacrity on Sven. He's going to 2-shot instead of 3-shot. Or maybe 1-shot. You never even know.
It depends here. Jubei, though, immediately getting pounced upon here by Mu. This is absolutely destroyed. The flamethrower heading over onto Rises. Gets the Stone Gaze off. And they'll just, oh, Kostabile doesn't seem like he cares as he falls up with a nice Stormhammer over onto 3 yet again. As the Timber Chain coming forward, they want this kill on Snapfire. They'll find it. Mu getting right up in there.
This man's just the actual Magnus in this game. 3-man stuns every
it's
fight.
Insane, right?
That one was off a 4-staff, so wasn't necessarily on him, but yeah, here's the Alacrity Timber Saw, which is what we talked about, you know, hitting that tower.
I would almost say that Mu felt like the 2 in this game. You know, you keep saying how Gunner's playing the 3, but Mu being that very tempo hero, making a lot of these moves early on to help ensure that Kostabile got what he needed.
Yeah, he controlled the map very well.
Get the break applied, though, to the Timber. It doesn't seem to care very much, though. We'll get decrapified. Nice Tornado over onto 3. They're just angling themselves perfectly for these spells. He's just letting the snowball send him in the face. He's got the Flamethrower. Doesn't seem too afraid. One more hit. And that is the end of the buildings here in this middle racks.
Yeah, you get the Flamethrower building damage. Not something you take advantage of often, but he'll take it along with that Alacrity. And he's had a pretty clean game. He did pretty well in his lane, snowballed, swung across the map, took control, built a net worth lead. They're up 40k. Using that Trickster cloak, he is insanely tanky. Gets the extra evasion. There's no way Medusa's gonna get an MKB in this game.
Look at the way they're already trying to scout. They've got those Scorch Spirits. They're trying to get as much information as possible because they know where this Dusa wants to be. And look at this positioning now. They are smoked up on the rest of the side. So they have to be careful. The jump forward immediately over to the Medusa, but the RP going forward again. Manages to grab 2 over into the Static Storm, but the finger comes out. They just get rid of Ryza so fast. Gunner also taking down Giant, and there's just too much damage coming out here from Kostabile as he gets himself a double kill. The buyback coming out again. They want this kill to be able to take down Jubei, and Jubei just calls it. It's GG. Zoomers, 46-8, 45k net worth.